Hey guys, welcome to Wayward Excursions. I'm Tony.
And I'm Amy.
We're here on a gorgeous day in Spencer, North Carolina to visit the North Carolina Transportation Museum.
Come join us on our excursion. Right? The first building we're going into will be the back shop.
The back shop was originally used for doing major teardowns and repairs of locomotives. Today it has been refurbished and is now used to house a number of transportation items, anything from boats to fire engines, to they even have a DC-3.
Next building we're going into be the roundhouse. We're actually going in on the back side of it. We'll get a good shot of the front with all the bays as soon as we get to that side. First section of the roundhouse contains all of their display engines and cars. Start out with several steam locomotives here, and we'll move around to the cars and diesels further down the track. The ACL, or Atlantic Coastline 1031, is a 460 configuration steam locomotive and tender. It was built in 1913 by Baldwin Locomotive. The 1031 came to Spencer shops in 1994, where it went through a 2-year cosmetic restoration. The 1031 is a small to medium-sized locomotive. However, as you can see, that's still pretty big compared to you and me. While it no longer moves on its own power, the 1031 now lets visitors enjoy the age of steam with open cab tours, label controls, and sound effects. You can even sit in the engineer's seat and feel like you're driving the train. Hopefully the camera picks up this flooring. It's actually made out of blocks of wood. They're turned on end, so you can hopefully see the grain at the end of the wood. The purpose for this was to relieve stress on the workers' feet who are be on their feet for 10 to 12 hours a day. The wood was far more forgiving than concrete, and also if any parts were dropped on it, there was far less damage that occurred to the parts and to the floor, and could be easily maintained.
It's easy to get caught up in all the cool stuff at eye level. One thing we've learned, though, is look up. The ceilings in the roundhouse are brick tile to resist heat from smoke and steam from the engines, and the high windows give a lot of natural light and ventilation. If you really look, this is a beautiful building.
I love the central part of the roundhouse. It's air conditioned, which is a great place to escape the North Carolina summer heat. This area is dedicated to the history of air and rail transportation in North Carolina. When you first walk in, what really catches your eye is a full-size replica of the Wright brothers airplane. Displays in this section document the evolution of aviation in North Carolina, all the way from its early beginnings in Kitty Hawk to the space age. The other displays give a sampling of railroading in North Carolina through the years. Be sure not to miss the interactive scale model of Spencer Shops in its heyday. It's well worth the time.
Spencer Shops is not only home to the North Carolina Transportation Museum, but it has also had a portion of the roundhouse converted to a mechanics area where they do repair and restoration, not only on the museum's rolling stock, but they've also been contracted in to do restorations, both cosmetic and functional, for other museum pieces. Currently, you can see the Shade 1925 from Graham County is in the process of being inspected to check its viability for a full restoration. Here are a couple other pieces that are currently going through repair. Most notably, the Champion from the Atlantic coastline, which had its start in Wilmington, North Carolina.
Spencer Shops is full of information, historical and operational, on both railroads and other forms of transportation.
This is a CTC panel, or Centralized Traffic Control Board. This was installed in Raleigh, North Carolina in 1948, and at that time was the largest CTC board ever constructed.
If you had the money, rail travel could be really extravagant, as you can see with this private rail car. The leather couches and the chairs in the sitting room, then the individual beds, as opposed to the bunk beds that you'd have in a standard car. Then you had the wood paneling throughout, with the scroll work and the brass fixtures. Each person had their own private stateroom, and the dining area looked like it was straight out of a Victorian mansion. It really was the most elegant way to travel. The railroad used to be a huge part of the post office. Let's go in and take a look to see how it worked. So you can see they had a sorting room here. All the bags for the mail that was picked up or being delivered.
600 railway companies rolls and trains out of the terminal. Trains carry people, goods, and mail. Mail by rail helps tie together the business economy, the free press, and the human relations of this great country. There are hundreds of railway post offices.
During World War II, the Army would use the railroads to transport injured troops, and this is one of the U.S. Army hospital cars from World War II. Let's go in and look.
The U.S. Army hospital trains and the medical personnel who rode the rails with them cared for thousands of injured soldiers being transported to base, ship, and stateside hospitals throughout World War II. During both the American Civil War and World War I, railways had been used to move injured soldiers. When the United States entered World War II, the Army Medical Department revisited this concept. In 1944, the Army implemented a one-car design that became the standard hospital unit car. Each was more than 84 feet long, 13.5 feet high, 10 feet wide, weighed 82 tons, and contained a kitchen, 36 bunks, toilets, showers, a receiving area, a pharmacy, and staff quarters, allowing it to function independently from other train cars. The American Car and Foundry Company produced and delivered 100 of these hospital unit cars in May 1944 and 100 more in January 1945.
This is the other side of the roundhouse. You can see all the different bays where the engines and cars are stored. Here's the turntable. They do offer turntable rides, which we have done in the past, and it's actually a lot of fun. There used to be another turntable on site, but they took that out a long time ago, even before it became a museum. The next building we're going into is Bumper to Bumper Car Museum in the old flue shop. There's more of these floors I love. One of my favorite exhibits in this section is this enterprising electric, it's a Roush and Lang electric car from 1918. This next building is the Master Mechanics Shop. This houses a rotating exhibit and the gift shop.
These are the doors to the back shop. As you can see, they come in two parts, technically four, but the lower half will open up as size for people, and then the upper end can be opened in conjunction with it for larger equipment such as locomotives or other machinery that needs to be taken in and out of the shop. They also were a primary source of ventilation for the shop because there was no AC.
They have several signals and lights that they use along the railroad crossings. You can even, they have information about them, and you can even work some of them. I'm not sure if you can see that one. That one's hard to see from where I'm standing.
The Transportation Museum is not just a collection of cool history and fun exhibits. They also host a number of events throughout the year for both the young and the young at heart. The Brew and Chew Festival and Dinner Excursion trains for adults, and the Easter Bunny Express and Fire Truck Festival for families are just a few of the fun events that you can enjoy. And of course, Day Out with Thomas and the Polar Express are definitely must-dos.
Thank you for joining us today in our excursion to the North Carolina Transportation Museum.
If you enjoyed this video, please comment, like, subscribe.
And we look forward to seeing you on the next excursion.